Okay. I'm Srini. I work at Vocanic, which is one of Singapore's largest social media marketing agencies. Today, I'm in my personal capacity. Nadine and Chip kind of, complaining that I haven't coded in a long time, so I made the most of the opportunity and came down to Hackaway, which, to be honest, I haven't done in more than a year now. So it's a great opportunity. Thanks for me and Chip for bringing me here. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about retail shopper media in a project. What I'm trying to do is present the business case for a retail instant media bidding system, and I'm going to do a little bit of a prototype or a proof of concept to prove how it can be done. So I'm going to go through that very quickly. I'm going to talk a little bit about the space here. So essentially, Asian shoppers like to be, there's a little bit about transactional details about Asian shoppers, which is they like discounts and so on. But it's also about, how does it fit with my lifestyle? I want convenience and so on. So these are some of the key segments that needs to be addressed. There's also an important budgetary shift that's happening, which is that, traditional media is going down. Traditional advertising, consumer promotion, spends are going down. What's going up is digital and shopper marketing. Also important is trade promotion budgets seem to be going down over years. And this is one of the key things that decides the P&Ls of retail companies like Carrefour. So how do you kind of arrest the decline and try and make it go up? Now, in general, digital ad spend is going up. So essentially what's happening is, it's not as if the spends are going down, the spends are going up, digital spends are going up, but it's not translating into retail spends, retail media spends. Right? When it comes to retail media, we're talking about what are some of the key influences. And the top three influences are coupon promotion, digital, digital access. Those are the top three, and I'm going to talk about a holistic solution that addresses exactly those three. Right. Essentially, what happens is retail does add value, which is that there's a locational advantage, but also they have a lot of data about how users are shopping, what they're shopping, and so on. What are key baskets, and that's something that's of huge value. So valuable that Amazon has been making money on that for quite some time. In fact, outside of high margin items, key insights like the fact that Amazon Prime members tend to spend a lot of money are some of the key drivers in Amazon's P&L today. Right? So I'll leave you this code, which is outside of the cash and register, data is perhaps the most valuable currency for retailers today. The best retailers are tracking consumer shopping behaviors and purchase trends at a very detailed level, and using this information to inform business decisions to drive profitable growth. Right? In general, in terms of what is it that Asian shoppers, how they interact with retailers, they're already beyond the point of being novice. They do download apps. They like to scan QR codes. They're doing some of these activities that can be put together into a very powerful solution for retailers. Right. So in terms of impact, the impact is going away from the traditional marketing model, which is all about fixed media, which is about tight control of marketing messages, to moving towards a new marketing model, which is all about dynamic media, focused on BTL, because that can be converted into yields much better on media spends. Right. In terms of shopper media marketing, okay. So if you think of these 5 spaces, they are all in the intersection of digital and retail space, and this is exactly the space that we would like to be attacking as part of this business solution. So what I'm going to be presenting today is one part of the shopper marketing solution, but there are other spaces to be hit. Remember that there is a $12 billion ad spend in APAC, a digital ad spend, out of which there is about 40% of it going into, 25% of it going into FMCG space, and the FMCG space, that's about $3 billion, and about half of it is being spent on digital, marketing, shopper marketing. If you can convert 1%, if you can create 1% efficiency, you're already talking about a tens of millions of dollars value, and there is a lot more efficiency to be gained out of what we are trying to do here. So, in essence, what we're trying to do here is create a digital shopper marketing ecosystem, engaging the shopper from the sofa to the store. These are some of the key problem statements for brands. We're trying to reach audience, which is getting harder and harder. Interruption media is going out. Ad blockers are coming up. But there is a genuine space for key trials, key coupons in converting, in making conversions. What is it the retailers are struggling with? The retailers are struggling with trying to hold on to their customers with loyalty, creating lift, and obviously, making the most out of the budgets that the manufacturers are holding. Right? So here's the vision: creating a real-time interchange between consumers, retailers, and advertisers to deliver highly effective messaging to consumers to enhance brand marketing and improve basket sizes and value. So I'm going to talk a quick couple of minutes about the architecture here. Imagine that these are the two parties that we think that the retailers are talking to, but that's not really true. There are a bunch of advertisers who are also wanting to interact with these same users. There is some data today which is about scoop baskets, there's customer files, behaviors, points, campaigns, etc. What is really lacking is an ability to bring it all together. Right? Now, when we talked about Carrefour data is all just really about just the purchases, just baskets. We didn't even get data about SKUs. We didn't have real customer file information, behaviors, and all the other aspects of it. But if all of that can be brought together, it can be a very powerful piece. Now, what I'm trying to suggest as part of this solution is essentially creating a real-time bidding system. The concept is that there are 2 or 3 key touch points when a user is within a store. Now, these touch points can be triggered if you have a loyalty app, which most of the retailers are anyway going towards. These loyalty apps are encouraged, or rather drive-throughs are encouraged by giving away points that can be redeemed and so on. But once you have an app, you have a few key touch points. One of them is when people enter the store, right? You can have a beacon that is captured by the app, triggering off a bid for potentially an ad slot that can be converted. These are great for driving trials because there's no better point for driving a trial than when a user is walking into a store. And also you can remind users of redemptions that you might have offered to them previously. Right? So, and the idea is those slots are then thrown away into an auction, and advertisers then have strategy on each of those bids, and they can respond with bids that then converts into ad slots that are actually displayed. Right? Real-time bidding, by the way, is not new. Google has been doing this in the digital space for many years. What this project is attempting to do is to bring real-time bidding into retail shopper media. Alright, so I'm just going to go through a couple of quick journeys. Essentially, this is what is happening. You've already driven a media campaign. You've identified key segments. You are pushing these messages through targeted media spend on digital or on TV. But what happens after that? You don't know how the user is going to be reacting. And this is where a huge potential comes in. When you enter the store, you can trigger a beacon. The app displays a notification about the user, about the redemption that they have, whether it's a scan something, whether it's doing something at the point of sale, or whether it's just a matter of picking it up and taking it away for free. And that's something that you can kind of link it up to the point of sale. Right? They pick the item, put it on, and then at the checkout, it all comes together between the point of sale system and what has been done as part of this platform. Right? And the idea is to drive up sales. Right, so I'm going to do a quick demo and then switch back to the presentation. All right, so since Chip asked me, reminded all of us actually, that we should be telling a little bit about the technologies used. So what I've done is, what's happening on my screen? Wait a minute. All right, okay, cool. So what I've done here is I took the Carrefour data, converted it into essentially random cards that can be utilized to display what's happening. So this page in itself is actually composed of essentially 5 different pages in itself, or 5 or 6. This page is simulating a user, and there are 2 of these here. This one is simulating a retailer console, which is essentially Carrefour in this case. And then there could be advertisers, Unilever, P&G. And actually, on my screen, I can see there's another one here, which is Carrefour itself. So Carrefour itself can utilize the media space using the same bidding strategy that the retailers would do. Right now, the technology used is I've used the Carrefour data to simulate the experiences. And I've also used it to enhance the data. For instance, each of these cards would then be enhanced to say, you know, who's the user, whether that person is a loyalty member or not, and it could be filled up with about hundreds of different attributes. At this point of time, I've just done a dozen or so, but typically it could run into hundreds. And if you're collecting user logins through a social login, those numbers can easily bump up to about 1,000 plus different attributes. And these attributes are very powerful in deciding what bidding you want to do. So the message passing between all of these systems, so to say, is all being done using Thomas's syslink. I've used a chat module, and all the messages are being passed through chat. It was just a way for me to showcase how the stuff works. The idea is to go as light in terms of having to do the network stuff and so on. So that's why I've used the Thomas's API. Right, so I'm going to quickly jump to the demo. Okay, cool. So what I've done is I've just put together 2 screens just for show. There are going to be 2 buttons I'm going to press. One is a beacon, which is entering the store, which will generate one kind of ads. And the other kind of ads can be generated when you click on a checkout, which is when a cart information is sent over. Right, so I'm going to do the first one. So it's sending a bunch of messages. The messages are sending back. Bids are receiving. There is an bid which came from Carrefour at the moment, which says all roads lead to Carrefour. Get 35% off on electronics. Let's do one more. This is going off again. Similar bids are coming. This time it says, remember to claim your 25% off on Head and Shoulders coupon at checkout. Right, so there was probably a coupon generated earlier. Great opportunity to bring it back so that user redeems the coupon at checkout. Similar stuff. Bunch of data has gone back to all the retailers, and they choose to decide what to show. Let's try it a couple of times. I didn't have too many offers of Carrefour, but demo please. Let's see if this comes up. Okay, this one says, thanks for buying Clear, enjoy 10% off on your next Clear purchase within 90 days at Carrefour. So great way to bring the user back, not only to your own product, but also to the retailer. Retailers happy, advertisers are happy, and somewhere along the line, Carrefour made $4.31. Right here, standing. Well, all of this is, of course, toy money, so I can play with it as much as I want. But that's about it. In terms of demo, let me quickly switch back to the presentation to see if there's anything left. In terms of benefits, the shopper knowledge is converted, and you can create activations that are extremely targeted and make money on doing that. In terms of retailers, they get to essentially create loyalty. Funded by the advertisers, which do happen. I mean, retailers do spend a lot of the advertiser monies to bring users in, but it's also about going to the next level and creating strong loyalty on top of it. Right? That's it. Thank you.
Right. Cool.
Thanks, Shreen. Ladies and gentlemen, Iyer Co. Who has a question for Shreenivas? Can you guess what business he works in? So actually, Srini and I go way back. I do have a question. I mean, it sounds to me like you've been thinking about this particular problem for a long time.
Yes.
So your ideas are pretty well formed about possible solutions for
Yes.
or things that you could offer to that space that would make a difference.
Right.
Is there anything in particular with regard to the Carrefour data set that you liked or disliked or thought it would have been nice if I'd had this other component as part of that?
So I did have a chat with Carrefour last night, and the discussion was about the fact that this data is too little to do something as powerful as this, because you would need a lot more attributes. You would need to understand whether there's been a basket data analysis already done, whether you need to do it on top of, on top of this data. But even if that's the case, then the raw data was not very good. For instance, it only had descriptions of the cart items. It did not say, that it's a subcategory, the taxonomy and things like that. It also did not say the size of the product. For instance, was it a 100 ml purchase or a 500 ml purchase? All of that is very important in market basket analysis. So that was there. Also, one of the discussions yesterday with Carrefour was what is the strategy going forward? How much do you want to share? And is the sharing something that you want to share to advertisers? Do you want to do it only for app developers? Because in each case, the data that you're going to expose is going to be very different, right? Sending your data out on a public exchange like this, checkout by checkout, is a very powerful thing for you to do, right? And people could disrupt you, for instance. For instance, in geo-targeted ads today, what happens is that every ad request goes to an exchange, and there are guys who are listening in, calling themselves publishers, but all they do is collect that information and then resell that off, right? So, and that happens at a cross-app level, which means any app you have on your phone is still requesting the ad and still producing that kind of global thing. I am sure that there are multiple companies in Singapore who knows that chip came from his home today and has been standing in or been in this place for the last 3-4 hours and so on. So the idea then is, once you understand the strategy, then you can build on top of it. What I'm suggesting here is a safe approach, which is by enhancing the data, you provide just enough information to the advertisers to make a responsible bid, but at the same time you control the key aspects. Essentially you anonymize and produce something that can be consumed and responded. Now remember that if it does kick off, then I think there is a full service offering business, which is to actually build the build strategies for the advertisers. And I would like to take money on both sides of the table.
Of course. That's what traders like to do. Cool. All right, thanks very much. Anyone else have any questions?
Is this a real company that you're running now? And do you actually have these relationships with these big brand owners?
Okay, so as part of my current day job, I work in a group called Group M. Or rather, I work for a company, Volcanic, which is owned by Group M. And Group M has a relationship with more than 51% of all advertisers worldwide. We control 55% of all media spend in APAC region. But do remember that that's one side of the relationship. The other side of the relationships is the tough curve, which is the retailers and so on, right? And at this point of time, I wouldn't want to reveal anything more than this. It's a public demo. But yes, there is an opportunity to do all that, and I would be happy to discuss with parties. This is not being done in isolation. I have experience of working with L'Oreal and Alphamart in Indonesia, where my company went and launched basically Indonesia's first online MLM system that's based on purchasing on Alphamart at L'Oreal products. So I have experience doing this, but anything more than that would be revealing too much. Hope you understand. Yeah. But I'm happy taking calls. I'm happy to leave my phone number. If anybody wants to fund it, I'm sure that there'll be ways to work it out.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks, Shreenivas. Okay.